We'll go ahead and start recording. We have officially 1 minute, so I'll give people time to join. So we've got 6 people other than me and Eric online, and there's probably 8 or 10 here so far.
10 if you don't count our presenter as part of our own audience.
Where's Mark? I don't see him on this. What kind of conference? Cool. Oh, good. Where is it at? Oh, nice.
You're okay. So,
well, it's officially 9 o'clock, guys. So we're going to kick off 1 Million Cups. Welcome. Hey, you guys want to sit down? We're going to get started. We have a great presentation today. Local entrepreneur, my favorite in person. So I'm so glad to be here. And I'm going to let Matt do our slides this morning. So let's see if I can figure out how to share these. Can those people online see the screen, the 1 Million Cup slides? I just need a verbal.
Yes.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Can see it, yep.
Thank you. Go for it.
all right. So welcome to 1 Million Cups. Caffeinating entrepreneurs every Wednesday. We're supported by the Kaufman Foundation, and our mission is to lower the barrier of entry to entrepreneurship for people in our local community.
Yeah.
Right.
Like Adam started
So yeah, 1 Million Cups is a United States-wide network of people who support entrepreneurship. Basically, we give aspiring entrepreneurs a chance to get up and have their businesses talked about, and we're trying to create a structure for entrepreneurs to be able to present to each other and to get feedback and highlight the uniqueness of entrepreneurs while still maintaining the benefits of having a local community, because so much entrepreneurship is so hyper localized, and getting feedback from somebody across the country can be pretty useless if you're an Albuquerque entrepreneur. Man, I'm having trouble moving the slides.
Did you have the clicker?
I do. It's not doing nothing.
Okay, here you go.
We are one of many chapters. However, we are the only chapter here in New Mexico. There's 160 chapters of 1 Million Cups across the United States. Given the new normal for COVID, we actually have hosted presenters from outside our area whose businesses are not necessarily local focused. And that's been a trend for 1 Million Cups across the United States. There's been a lot of cross-pollination, which is one of the silver linings to our recent trouble. So the key pillars of 1 Million Cups. We want presentations, not pitches. We're not here to hear about how awesome your business is. We're here to hear about the real situations, the real problems and concerns, so that you can get real feedback about your business, and you can hear some of the genuine problems that entrepreneurs run into. So often in a networking event, you get rose-colored glasses view of every business. Everything's going fine. We have this big project coming up, et cetera, et cetera. Here we want to hear about the genuine struggles and successes of our local entrepreneurs, so that we can give you some real feedback. We're run for the community, by the community. Our staff team are all volunteers, and we're deliberately inclusive. We have some values and practices that we need to talk about. Again, we're an inclusive and diverse space. We value safety, and we want people to be comfortable being who they are within our entrepreneurship community. Please be respectful and considerate to all the other attendees and to our presenter. And we do curate who comes up and who presents, and we also curate our attendees. So just be a professional. we are looking for more presenters. If you have a business and you've sold something to someone besides your mother, and you think you would value from getting some practice about talking about your business and some of the stuff that I've said sounds interesting, talk to one of the organizers or go to our 1 Million Cups Albuquerque website and apply to present. It's not hard to get through the process, and it's not as daunting as you think it is. And you will get a lot of benefit out of it. Hey, yeah. So we already have somebody in the queue here. Here's our organizing team. Got Paul Sauter from Equisy. We got Lisa Adkins from Fat Pipe, which is the space that we are in. It's a wonderful co-working space. If you need an office space, I highly recommend that you join the community here. There's a lot of value to be had from it. We got Eric Renz Whitmore, ecosystem developer with Emergent Wave. Me, I'm Matt Gredden with Matt's Mushroom Farm. We also have Adam Sparks, who has rejoined our team after taking a bit of a hiatus. Yeah. So, yes. So he's a professional organizer with Sparks Flow, which we deeply need. And then we have an open spot, and it's you. Come join our organizing team. Yes, you. Come join our organizing team. We need help to manage the flow of entrepreneurs that are applying, and also to go out and find new presenters to come join us. There's some sponsors, Fat Pipe, of course, and Goss Capital, more than organized.
Yeah, but GOS Capital is new, and they are a coffee sponsor. Scott Goodman's in the house. Scott, when we after our presentation, we'll let you introduce yourself, okay?
Awesome. Jason Film Photography and Benson Custom Software. We buy the donuts. I was donut proxy today. In the back. We haven't got one yet. So we've done it. And then we'll cover some events and activities at the end of our presenters. For now, let's get on with the show. And I'd love to have our presenters come up and introduce themselves. So let's give a round of applause.
Let's let Eric lead that off. I'll pull up your slide.
I'll just slip in over here for just 1 second. So yeah, really, I don't know. I just love having all sorts of good presenters. But one of the things I wanted to say about Emily is, you'll hear a little bit about her background, but one of the things that I found, and one of the things that why we love 1 Million Cups is kind of the community aspect of things. And for somebody who's got a background working with kind of like major corporations and doing really this high level work, one of the things that I always found about Emily is that she was really down to earth and really cared about the community and how different organizations and people in the community interacted and did good things. So it's not a surprise to see some of the other things that she's been involved with since. And I'm just really thankful that she was able to join us here this morning. So thanks very much for joining us.
Thanks, sir. Happy to be here. Good morning, everybody, virtually and in person. Thank you for showing up in person. It's going to make this go much easier for me to see faces today. I'm going to just
online see her slide deck. Can you see it online?
Good. Okay. All right. So today's presentation, I'm going to tell you a little bit about my company, and then kind of toward the end, I have my challenges listed, and I would love some discussion and input and thoughts from you all. I think it's good to have some background information about me and about my company before we get into that piece. So we'll start there. This is there we go. Okay, so the About Me slide. My name is Emily Howard. I grew up here in Albuquerque, New Mexico. I left for college and graduated from TCU in the business school. And then I stayed and worked out in Dallas for about 8 years at different advertising agencies there. Really started in the digital realm, the .com realm. I got to work on the first ever Campbell Soup website, which was pretty cool, and helped launch a lot of the AA.com, AmericanAirlines.com features. Before you could check in online and all of those things, I was promoting those things. So got a lot of experience with big brands and big companies in Dallas, and then moved back to Albuquerque in 2005 to work with Steve McKee at McKee Wallwork. And I worked there for quite a long time, about 9 years. Worked again there on some big and small brands, all different companies. It was really, really great experience, and have done different things since then. Just started my own consulting business called Cheetah Strategy in June. And so I'm doing I'll get into more details on what I'm doing now when I get there. I'm also a very proud mom and wife. I love to talk about my kids, so hopefully you don't have to hear about that today. I'll skip over that part, but they're two awesome young women that it's been fun watching them as I've been starting my own business. They've been coming to me with their own business ideas, which I think is pretty cool. My little one is an artist, and so she's designing logos. She tried to design my logo for me. they're really cute and really fun. So this process for me, I wasn't expecting for them to be that involved, but they have been, which is cool. My husband is a huge supporter of mine. He actually presented to this group. I don't remember when that was, Eric. It wasn't too long ago, but I think he had to do it virtually. So he's jealous that I get to do it in person today. Also, I'm a co-founder of Start Bragging. I don't know if you all are familiar with that, but it's a grassroots volunteer effort that was started in 2018 by myself, Anne Marie Hinton, and Alexis Tappan. And it's really designed to get people to speak more positively about Albuquerque. We have a podcast, we have a Twitter handle, we've done speeches around town. It's really just sort of a grassroots movement, and we just go with the flow, and we're surprised that it's still going 3 years later, but it's been a really, really fun and rewarding project. This last thing about want to be pro athlete, I love sports, I love to play sports. It's really good for me to get my aggression and competitive spirit out on the tennis court instead of in the office. And I really admire Georgia O'Keeffe and Michael Jordan. I know they're very different humans, but they both have this level of tenacity that is to be admired. And my contact information is here. If anybody wants to connect later, my email address, and I'm on EK Howard on Twitter. So this slide just kind of represents some of the companies that I've either had as clients or have worked for inside of those companies. Wide variety of companies, different industries, local, international, government, some Pueblo communities. I noticed your shirt, Matt, where did you go? I did some work with the Health and Human Services Office with Jemez Pueblo pretty recently, actually. And I've also been on the agency side and the client side. And I don't know, some people call this the dark side and the light side. I'm not going to say which one I think is which, but the point is that this has really given me good perspective because I've worked on brands from the agency side and kind of seen things from the outside, but I've also worked inside of companies in marketing departments and run marketing departments and seen things from the inside. So I think that gives me a good perspective on things and has really helped shape my company today. So when the pandemic hit, pretty much like everybody else probably in this room, I did a little soul searching, a little bit of thinking about what do I want to do with my life? Is this really what I'm set out to do? And so, of course, schedule became really important during the pandemic, especially when my kids were home from school. That was just a whole different ball game for all of us, or for many of us. And I also, my last job was with the Indian Pueblo Cultural Center, and I was the VP of corporate strategy there for about 2.5 years, and it was awesome. I had such a great time working with them. But what I realized is that I missed working with multiple businesses and multiple brands. I also hired a career consultant, I don't remember when that was, earlier this year, pretty early this year. And that was a very interesting experience. I could talk about that for a really long time probably, but what they kind of helped me realize is not what my hard skills were and that I understood strategy and business planning and marketing and all of those things, but that I was really good at finding order in chaos. And I was also really good at building relationships. And those two things I think have also helped contribute to the Cheetah Strategy business that I have now. And then lastly, I kind of realized that in Albuquerque, there was a hole in the market. Maybe there was missing some strategic thinking that was more accessible. There are some great companies that do strategic planning and strategic thinking in town, but maybe they're too expensive for some people, or it's just too big of a team, or some of those things. So I really thought that there could be a hole in the market where I could just provide extra brain power to people when they needed it. So that's kind of the foundation of my business. Another thing that I learned through my 25 years of working with different brands and businesses, that everybody has the same problem. Everybody has the same struggles. And businesses really feel lost in this maze. They're in the business running it day to day, and they can't necessarily always see around the walls and find their way very easily because they're so worried about the day-to-day execution of what's going on. And so this idea of being trapped in a maze is really frustrating for companies. It can be really scary. It can be really lonely. And it's just interesting that both on the working inside of companies and with agencies, this problem is just pervasive throughout. And it doesn't happen all the time. Some companies are successful and move their way through the maze pretty quickly, but a lot of times people get lost. So I know you're probably wondering why my company is called Cheetah Strategy, because it's kind of a weird name. But if you look at these two pictures here, the one on the right with the cheetah chasing its prey is what most people think of when they think of a cheetah, right? That they're really fast. But the other one is interesting to me. Cheetahs are very strategic. They plan their attacks very carefully. They get up on the highest ground and kind of scope out the situation and look to see what's going on. And then they plan their attack and pick out which animal they're going to go after before they make that sprint. Because if they sprint into action and they don't catch their prey, they're wiped out and they're done. Like they can't bring home food to their family. So that whole planning part of it and getting up on higher ground is really an important part of the cheetah's success in their attacks. And so I thought that was a really great analogy for strategic planning, that you really need to take your time and find the right vantage point and kind of plan out your attack before you sprint into action. So that's where cheetah strategy came from, which is not unlike this, back to this maze analogy, right? If you have a consultant or somebody from the outside looking in that can look at the maze from the top down, it's a lot easier to see that path through the maze and help business owners and CEOs and different leaders of companies kind of find their way through the maze. So that's what I'm trying to do with companies now, is just help them find their way and find the means to an end, if you will, and not just the end goal. So this is an overview of Cheetah Strategy. It's a brand and business consulting firm. I've really found that I work well with growing companies or companies that are really good at their craft and they know what they're doing, but maybe they just need an extra push to bring an idea to reality or just to get them focused. So I've been facilitating different strategic planning meetings. I've been conducting workshops, helping with brand and marketing strategies and strategic plans, and just really being called in for kind of some random assignments, which is great. I love it because it just keeps it interesting. And one thing that I've learned that I think is really important to my business is that a strategic plan without a playbook means nothing. If you give somebody a strategic plan that looks beautiful and it's bound and it has all these great charts and information, but no one ever looks at it or no one ever uses it, it's totally worthless. So this playbook piece is also something that I'm really proud to say I want to help companies create playbooks to get their strategic plans going in the right direction, because I know people can struggle with implementing the plans because they just don't know where to start. So that's where my finding order in chaos piece comes in. What I've learned is that I'm pretty good at quickly kind of assessing the situation and kind of figuring out what's going on and making sense of things and making things seem a little more simple for people. And so I'm trying to use that skill in finding this order and chaos with the companies that I'm working with. Also, my background in marketing also helps, because being focused on the customer, whether that's an internal customer or an external customer as you're doing strategic planning, is really important as well. And then also these action plans, it's important to have a list of what you're going to do, who's going to do it, and by when it's going to be done, and making sure that those pieces all come together. So that's hopefully one of the differentiators and something that I can kind of hang my hat on when I'm working with different clients. I don't know if you all are familiar with Patrick Lencioni. He's an author that I really admire. Yes, he's awesome. He writes a lot about teamwork. He has this new assessment out that's called the Working Genius Assessment, and there are 6 characteristics, and people are either really good at 2 things and really enjoy doing 2 of those things. 2 of them they're okay at, and then 2 of them they just hate doing, and they're not very good at those. And I took the assessment, and it told me that I was really good at discernment and tenacity. And discernment is the ability to kind of look at a bunch of ideas and kind of decide which ones are going to be successful or not. And then the tenacity piece is getting things done and checking things off your list. And I can tell you for sure, in my professional life and personal life, I love checking things off my list. So I think that kind of fits into this order and chaos piece too, that I can kind of see things and discern which ideas are probably going to be more successful or not. And that's kind of based on intuition and experience, not always just data. And then the tenacity piece and helping people see things through to completion. One more slide here. Okay. There we go. Okay, so now I'm going to get to my challenges. Hopefully you all have a good sense of kind of what my business is like. There's a couple of things that I feel like I'm struggling with a little bit. One of those is easily telling people what I do. I don't get the chance to do this big presentation every time I meet somebody. So sometimes that's a little tricky. And then the other piece is consistent revenue streams. Most of my work right now has been projects that are pretty short term, maybe a few months or maybe even a day at a time. And so I'm interested to see if anybody has any thoughts or ideas on how can I maybe develop some more consistent revenue streams over the long haul, because it's a little scary not knowing what's going to be next. So that's where I will leave it for now. And happy to answer any questions.
And so we're going to take some questions from the audience.
Okay.
I think for the most part, if folks are kind of in the front row, I think we can, for the most part, hear them online, which is great. But it might help sometimes to just repeat what they're saying.
Oh, sure.
Let's see, what we'll ask you to do is just, share what your name is, whether you're online or in here. Which is great. Wherever you are, just share your name, maybe your organization, and then ask your question. And then that'll help us get going. So, Q&A.
Thanks, Eric.
And I'll look for the questions and stuff online.
Thank you.
Miriam Ortiz-Pino with More Than Organized. Love what you do.
Thank you.
Love that you have no trouble explaining it when you have a longer presentation.
Right.
So it's just a matter of whittling down a nice couple sentence explanation. But I really love the fact that you have that playbook piece to it. And I'm also a coach, and I work with a lot of people that have had a strategic plan done, and they have that lovely piece of paper or a bound report, and they don't know what to do with it. They can't implement. And I also think that's going to help with your revenue situation as well, to create some sort of a signature system, if you will, that you can then sell the modules of, or the entire package of. I think would be really a good direction for you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yes, sir.
Paul Sauter from Equity. Can you give us an idea of who your ideal customer is? So what's the company size?
Yeah, I don't know if size necessarily matters, but it tends to be a company that's growing or going through some kind of change or adjustment, and they just sort of need help getting to that next level. Like, I'll just give you an example with him as Pueblo Health and Human Services. Clearly during the pandemic, their business changed quite a bit, and they had to just solely focus on COVID-19. There was nothing else that they could spend their time on. And when they came out of that and things got a little more under control, they sort of forgot what they were doing and what they were good at before that. And so they really brought me in to just kind of remind them of what their skills are, help kind of get organized again of like, how are they going to work on diabetes cases, or, some of the other things that the public health office is responsible for there. So I think it's not necessarily size, but it's just companies that maybe need help, a little push, or getting organized, or just, maybe pivoting and adjusting what they do a little bit. So I think that's probably, and it doesn't really matter if it's a government organization or public company or tiny company, like size or type of industry, or none of that typically matters, because it's all the same foundational work that we do.
Emily, are you doing, sorry, my name's Jack with Rerouted. Are you doing any consistent workshops, like a regular workshop every month for people? Because I think that's something, it might not be huge revenue streams, but something that you could consistently do that would even bring people into the community, give them a really low cost of entry. And then when they're, we're ready to scale up our companies, you would be the agency that they would look to.
Yeah, I haven't done any regular workshops. I have done workshops, and I'm starting to formulate some ideas around that. So I think that's helpful to know there might be a market for that. It's something I enjoy doing, so I just kind of need to find the right topics that I think will appeal to.
Yeah.
I'm Andres. I'm Andres Albert, 505. I'm studying photography and video media. My question is just, how does your podcast play into your work, or does it fit in at all? You mentioned your work in your podcast.
Such a great question.
Repeat the question for the audience.
Oh, okay, yeah. So his question was, how does the Start Bragging podcast fit into the work that Cheetah Strategy does? It doesn't directly tie in, just because it's try to keep government and church separate from each other, if you will. It's a great promotional tool for me, probably individually, and for the other hosts of the show. But we don't always necessarily link them to our business or to our work, because it just feels a little awkward, frankly, and we don't want the podcast to become a work thing. We want it to be sort of organic, and we just want people to talking about Albuquerque and that they love Albuquerque. So we intentionally keep them separate, I guess, is the best answer.
It's about generously showing up though and building the community.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And showing that we appreciate Albuquerque and we want Albuquerque to be better. And honestly, the people we have on there are so interesting. Like from, David Campbell, who has this amazing background, to the only New Mexico Cicerone, the beer expert in the whole state. Like, it's just fascinating, the people that we get to talk to and their different perspectives on Albuquerque. And it helps educate me on what Albuquerque has and has to offer too. So it's been super rewarding to do that podcast, just on a personal level.
Eric, do we have any questions online?
We've got Ellen. Let's go ahead and bring Ellen up. Ellen, can you hear me?
I can. When you pose the question about how to describe your service, I started thinking in a pretty typical way, which is outside in. And that meaning, you know, what we think we bring to the party, what we can do for our clients. And it occurred to me that it might be more productive to reverse engineer it and go from inside out and have some conversation with clients and find out, what did you mean to them? What did you accomplish for them? And that's something that may not always be articulated. And I think if you were able to have some of those conversations, you might get to the heart of the matter and be able to describe to potential clients what you can do for them. Because we often get lost in what we think we can do for people. And anyway, it's just my stream of consciousness about how you might approach the answer to that question.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you. It's a great marketing answer too, that I probably should have thought of already, right? But it's really hard to do marketing for yourself.
It is.
I once heard a very good speaker who gave advice. He said, don't should on yourself.
Language.
Should.
I know. We got it. You're funny.
Great advice. Thank you.
Any more online?
I think that's all we got online. I'll double check in a second, but I wonder if that's worth like a little bit deeper of a conversation. Is why is it so tough for folks to? I can't promote myself. I can promote a lot of other things, but how do we get past that? And now Miriam's talked about that before, but I just don't know why that's such a hassle.
Yeah. It's because it's very personal. It's close to you and personal, and the stakes are different when it's your own stuff. So you got to do the inner work to be able to put it out there without holding on so tightly. It's a control thing.
Yeah. And for me, it was scary to share it with other people and get feedback. I mean, it took me forever to write my website. So I was just crafting every stupid word, like very, very carefully. And it was hard for me to say, okay, friends and colleagues, like take a look at this and let me know what you think, because it was so tied to me personally.
Sure.
Or if I was doing that with a client, I would have no problem saying, what do you guys think of this?
So the other thing I'd throw in about that is everybody knows about the Dunning Kruger effect, the easy part, which is people overestimate their confidence in some areas. So everyone thinks they're above average driver. The other side of it is people who actually have domain expertise, deep domain expertise, think that that's simple.
Right.
And they think their subject area is something that everyone understands because they do.
Yeah.
And so it's very hard to pitch yourself to other people because you assume that they have the same or some level of domain expertise in your domain, and they have none. So that's quite difficult to
Got to
understand.
take it back to the beginner's mindset.
Yeah.
So your quick comment though, like struck me as like an intro to your elevator pitch. And it's in the sense that, like you could say, you know, it's hard to do marketing for yourself. It took me a while to figure out how to explain what I do. And if you started out that way, it's kind of like making yourself a little bit empathetic, right? Because one of the other things that struck me was that you have like these big power companies, but now you're working towards little places like Pueblo. And you know, like having a little bit of that little self-empathy or that self-revelation, right, might bring them in board and say, wow, even this power person like has a hard time with this.
Yeah.
I think that's a really good point too, that at the scale, like when you're scaling to a smaller size from a bigger size, it's easy to forget that the relationship is what's so important.
Yeah.
And to tie in all these other ideas about you know, maybe you don't put it in the podcast specifically, but anytime there's a chance to post on your personal stuff that you had a similar discussion on the podcast, like
Yeah.
they can cross feed without it being slimy.
Right.
There was another piece similar to that, but I think you can tie all of it together. And I think if you build on your maze concept, and or if you can weave a story with a cheetah and a maze, because that's where you are right now, right?
Right.
You're in the maze
Yeah,
of
totally.
your own
Yeah.
business, and you can see it for other people, but
Yeah.
not for yourself. But you're so close.
I've been thinking about what we were talking about why it's so hard to market for yourself. And it's something I talk to my team about all the time. They say, oh man, I hate selling. And I'm like, well, of course we all hate selling. We don't want to take people's money. We don't want to be ripping anybody off. But if we can change the framework and the perspective we're looking at it with, we're solving people's problems. We're helping to solve people's problems. We're trying to put it out there so we can do a better job of solving these problems. All the feedback we get, all the criticism we get is just helping us do a better job. It makes it a lot less painful to be vulnerable if you feel like everything that's coming in is a positive because it's helping us be better.
And selling doesn't have to be selling. Like, it's true. People say, I don't like to sell. It's like, so you don't like working in the business you're working in? Because everybody's selling all the time.
Right.
So it's more about how you have the conversations about what you do that make people feel comfortable to ask more questions and get interested in it.
For sure.
And we've got one online. with applicants.
All right.
That one.
Might also consider, like, you know, two metaphors, like the maze and the cheetah.
Mhm.
Instead of trying to make a cheetah in a maze, you know, like making a more complicated metaphor, it would be, right? Like it might be to think about how maybe your maze could go disappear into cheetah. Like you could say, here's what it looks like from the ground. Right?
Or you change the maze to the grass in the savannah.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's that, like, but then when you get up on a rock, this is what you see,
Different view.
Oh, that's good.
right? So now you can kind of re-emphasize that.
Yeah, no, that's great.
John Bell, would you like to ask your question?
I would love to ask my question, and I'm so excited to see Emily here. I did see your presentation, which was awesome. Just a quick shout out. Emily is one of the smartest people I know in town. She was also nice enough to kind of talk to me when I first moved here. So, but to focus on your presentation, you know, you've got such great thoughts, and clearly you must have methodology and process for that simplification thing. And you know, being the digital marketing guy I am, I can only think that there's content marketing here that can help you kind of extend your reach and gain new customers. So the more specific question is, have you considered creating online training sessions for business leaders on strategy and creating an additional revenue stream through that? Obviously some free ones, but some ones that are cost. You know, there's a platform called Kajabi, which a lot of us consultants are thinking about as a kind of a, to be fair, it's a kind of a Shopify for people who've got something worth training on. Is that something you would consider doing to get that extra revenue stream and to become a marketing channel for you?
Yeah, definitely. I think that kind of ties into the workshop idea too, that they could be similar topics or similar things. And I also like your thought of the content piece and giving out nuggets of some of the process and those kind of things on social. It's so funny how this sometimes seems so obvious now that I'm having the conversation with other people. So thank you all for sharing today.
Yeah, and then a quick follow-up would be, you know, again, the recurring revenue on strategy consultants is always hard because strategy is a moment in time and doesn't repeat routinely. However, there is something that does repeat more or less routinely, which is budget season for a lot of organizations, whether they be small, mid-sized businesses or nonprofits. I don't exactly know what that will look like, you know, in terms of creating a product or a service that you will that's tied to budget season. Maybe it's more of a refinement product or something like that. Maybe it's just a marketing angle, to be fair. You know, don't enter budget season without, you know, tweaking your strategy. But I'm wondering if that might also be another way to kind of create some repeat purchase from those folks that, yeah, I know you, whoever you work with, I'm sure they're advocates and they would love to hire you again. So just a thought.
Thank you, John.
Yeah, no worries.
Point. And the other piece that like budget season, but then it's also year-end review.
Right.
And pre-planning for next year
Mhm.
to keep with the strategy that's already been developed.
Yep.
I'm so sick of going, I work with a lot of organizations and they will have a 5-year plan every year.
Right.
They will recreate the 5-year plan. And it's like, you have one, finish the 5 years.
Right.
Next 5 years. But you don't recreate your 5-year plan every year. You gotta finish implementing. So.
Thank you. Good thoughts.
All right, looks like we got one last up from Alan online.
Yeah, I really liked what John Bell had to say about budget issues. And I've worked in very large corporations and very small corporations and had clients and that whole spectrum. And budgets tend to just be self-perpetuating. You add or subtract a couple of percentage points from a budget item and you move on. And if you really think about it, if you accept the old saw about the only constant is change, then I would venture to say that for many, if not most companies, there's a budget item or two that could probably just be cut 100%. There are other items that probably need a 25% budget increase. But yet companies will do silly things like, well, we want a 10% across the board cut. Well, that makes no sense whatsoever. It doesn't affect the item that should be cut 100%. And it doesn't help the item that should be increased 25%. What it really needs is kind of a zero-based budgeting approach that you look at the budget as kind of the heart of your organization, because the funds that go through, that's the lifeblood of the organization. And if your heart is working efficiently, well, then your organization has a chance to work efficiently. So helping people, to take a whole new look at their budget could be an incredible, valuable service. And it's one that people, I don't think, would think about looking outside to get any help with, because they don't think they need any help. They think they know their budget, but in most cases, I don't think they do. So anyway, just my thought, and thank you, John, for that inspiration.
Thank you. That was great. I like that thought too.
Well, I'm sorry, well, actually, let's see,
Stay
if I
right
stand
there.
over here, then technically, I guess I'm doing the right thing. Hi. Hi. We have a couple of last questions for you.
Okay.
They are, first of all, the state question, red or green?
Red. If I had to pick it.
I'm sorry, I'm just kidding.
You can pick Christmas.
All good stuff, all good stuff. And the other question that we always ask is, how can we as a community help you continue to grow your business?
Yeah, I love all of your thoughts. So if you have more to share, I'm happy to share my card or email me. But also, if you think of any potential clients or people that could use my help, or just someone that wants to talk to me at lunch for an hour, I'm happy to do that too. I love hearing about other people's problems. So just keep me in mind. That would be awesome.
Well, thank you so much. How about a little round of applause? Thank you. Thank you very much for being here.
We hope you'll stick around and answer questions with the community too. And,
Sounds great.
We'd love to have you a little bit longer.
Okay.
Awesome. So let me change the camera view here for a second so you guys can see me. Oh, the light's not good. We've got some sunshine in the back. So Scott, would you like to come up and actually stand in front of this camera because it looks better, and introduce yourself? This is our new coffee sponsor. We are so grateful to have him. Tell us what your venture capital firm is all about.
Great. Hello, everyone.
Look at the camera.
Hello, everyone. My name is Scott Goodman. I started a micro venture capital firm this past summer called GOS Capital, and it focuses on early stage New Mexico tech companies, making there's smaller investments right now, but I'm actually gearing up come January to raise a small fund. So I might not be around as much in January to March because I'm fundraising, but
I really like 1 Million Cups. I've gotten a lot of benefit of it. I think it's a great forum for all of us to come talk about our ideas and share advice. So I thought, well, I want to then give back to something that's given to me. And honestly, I think maybe my sponsorship broke even for the amount of coffee and donuts I ate. So I don't really know if like you guys benefited, but at least I was able to help contribute to an organization. And it's really one of the only ones we have here that does this type of weekly gathering. So glad to be a part of it.
Thank you so much.
So we've been following your activities in the business class.
Mhm.
There is something you could do for us. I wonder if you'd tap some of those companies that you've just invested in, presented 1 Million Cups.
Yeah, I could definitely talk to them. We just closed our 4th deal last week. So
Yeah. that's
thank
great.
you. I'll definitely talk with all of them. And also, there's a bunch of companies that I see throughout the year. So I'll recommend that they come present here as well. And they're really exciting companies. You don't realize how many different things are happening in New Mexico. I know the 4 that I've invested range from esports to nanotech to water desalinization to a digital physical therapist. So it's all over the board right now, but a lot of great stuff happening here.
Where can we find out what you're doing?
Yeah, so I have probably, I would say my GOS Capital's LinkedIn. That's where I'm pretty active. I'm trying to get more active in Twitter. I think Eric's my #1 fan that reshares my stuff.
He's my biggest fan.
Yeah, so Eric's
We can get a 3-way track.
right. We reshare everyone's
Yeah.
posts.
Yeah,
So
great.
yeah,
That's awesome.
great.
Thanks,
All
Scott.
right.
Do we have any other newbies in the audience who can come up and introduce yourselves? Come on up.
I've been here before.
All righty, come up.
Been a while.
So tell us your name. Come on up.
Yeah.
What you do and how you found us.
Yeah, I'm Eric Zimmer. I work with Oso Grande Technologies. I was coming here a couple years ago, went back to Texas for 2 years. My career spans telecom and city governance. And so I'm working as the sales and business development director at Oso Grande. And just wanted to come back to 1 Million Cups and, meet some folks. Was really intrigued with your presentation. One thing I would say is make it easy for somebody like me to share what you do. If you make it easy, then we'll all advocate. So I hope that makes sense. My father-in-law told me that early in my career. He said, if you want people to advocate for you, just make it super easy.
On that note, I will ask you all, sometimes I toyed around with the idea of on-call.
I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Love it.
Yeah, super heavy. So anyway, thank you for having me today. I have, I'm an Albuquerque high grad, so most of my life has been here. I married a girl from here, but working in technology most of my career. Paul is down at Oso Grande as well, so we love having him there. We're trying to really grow our presence at Oso Grande. And anyway, thank you for having me.
All right, I'll take the hot seat. Long time listener, first time caller. My name is Matt Ober. I'm an architect turned photographer. So I had about a 20-year career as an architect. And what I decided to do is follow my passion in photography. So that's called Meadow Photo is the name of my business. So I just left architecture in September, and this is about my 3rd month in business. I've been doing it since 2009, but not as my profession and my full-time gig. So that's what I'm doing. So I'm kind of hopeful to meet some interesting people, and I guess I'm looking for guidance a little bit too, and on what to do with the business and which area to head to, because it's kind of different operating in a vacuum by yourself. So I'm
We can't
appreciative
wait
of the
to see
community.
your application to tell your story here.
I'm building up the courage on that. So,
Don't wait for it. Do it.
Yeah, this will help you.
all right. All right.
Big glamour shots. It's a new industry.
Yes, yes.
I'm not sure any of you have been here before. Would you like? You have? It's so hard to tell with the mask, but if you're new, please come up and take the hot stand and introduce yourself. Oh, we're gonna do this.
Yeah, I guess we're good.
Kind
Yeah.
of- Okay, watch your feet.
Oh, sorry.
It's dangerous.
Yeah, so we're with the Albuquerque Hispano Chamber of Commerce. I'm Joey Gutierrez. I'm the Director of Membership, and
Yana Yamada.
And Daniel Serrano.
so we try to get online as much as possible. We have a new team, so we know some of you guys, but I want them to get involved with 1 Million Cups for sure. And then we wanted to come support Emily because she's helped change our organization in the last few months for sure. So we are a testimonial. So anybody out there wondering, it works, and we're still in the process, but the outlook is great for us. So we're excited to have her.
Send us some entrepreneurs.
We will. We'll definitely.
Maybe
do
one
that.
of you want to be, I'd love to have another female on the organizing team.
That would be
Definitely.
nice.
Definitely.
Yes,
Talk.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Appreciate you.
Anybody else? Come on up.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jordan Varela. Coming back to 1 Million Cups, I came here probably about 5 years ago in one of my classes with Stacy Sacco at UNM. So kind of fell off for a little bit, but started, deciding to come back once I saw on Meetup that you guys were coming in person again. So right now I work at Preventer Financial. It's a local independent financial company. I'm a financial advisor, so a little bit of entrepreneurship, kind of getting out, building a book of business, things like that. So, I just decided to come, start meeting people, just kind of liked coming when I came a few years ago, and a lot of really good ideas and thoughts from a lot of people in the community. So I just thought it'd be a good idea to come out and, past COVID and kind of get back in the groove of meeting people and finding out what everyone does and how we can all help each other. So
We're so glad you're here. Thank you. All right.
Hi, my name is Eddie. This is a great environment. There's all kind of people in. I think we can go for the next step too. I'm starting my own business. I really have a hard time when I get my gear out. And I like this. This is like the environment that I should go to more often.
Right.
And, that's it.
What's your business?
It's gonna be a coupon, but it's just a stepping stone. I tell you more in a minute.
Okay.
But I already have a few people that like to join in. But it's a startup, and not nervous, because like life is just a journey, and every journey has their own color, and you never know until you find out. So, but this is me. Thank
Awesome.
you.
Thanks for coming. Eric, do we have
Yes.
any announcements or events you want to tell us about?
I will share a handful of events, and I may ask someone to talk about the big events coming up in February when I'm done. I love the tie-ins on that, so that'll be cool. But a couple of things to just mention right now. So first of all, Rainforest Innovations. Oh, let's see. I scrolled down the wrong place. Yeah, Rainforest Innovations, they've got mentoring for entrepreneurs. They've got this every few weeks. So they've got it with my PGLB, and that is happening tomorrow from 2 to 4 p.m. That is online. Albuquerque Economic Development, AED, sort of a sibling of City Economic Development that does a lot of recruiting, but also retention and expansion of local business. They've got their 505, their inaugural annual dinner and 505 awards that's coming up tomorrow night. I think tickets are still available on that.
Eric, do you know who's winning an award?
I've heard that there's some really good people who are winning an award.
That man right there, Stewart.
I've heard that there's some excellent awards included. That's fantastic. That's tomorrow night, tomorrow afternoon, 5 p.m. A couple of other things, UNM Rainforest Innovations and SPOR. They have their in-person office hours that is running Friday from 9 to 12. And one of many holiday markets this weekend with the railroads. The state has a website that's both Saturday and Sunday at the railroads.
Saturday, Sunday, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Matt's Mushroom Farm will have a stall there where you can pick up mushroom grow kits for the holidays and make the best gift. There's no better gift.
There's no better gift.
All right.
So, and in addition to that, we've been able to get close to the microphone. So, biggest annual event, I love that there's sort of this tie-in with the space industry. Can you tell us a little about your
Maybe come up here so they can hear you better online. Because it's a big event.
It is a huge event. So our La Noche Encantada is our gala. That is the Chamber's biggest event. It's the biggest gala in the Southwest. We did space theme because of all the cool things going on here in New Mexico with space. So we wanted to highlight that. We also have Spaceport on our board. So it's called Launching a Volt Tomorrow, and it's February 12th. And so we are excited. We didn't get to do a gala last year, obviously. That's the first time ever. So we're going to make up for it this year. So it'll be at Convention Center, the West Building. We're going to take up the whole building, and from 6 p.m. to 2 a.m. It's going to be a giant get together. So it is a good time. If anybody's interested in volunteering or anything like that, please contact us. There's also tables available. But yeah, that's kind of what the Chamber's focused on, besides fixing some of the things that we have going on and working with Emily. It's a good time in December to revamp for 2022. So that's our focus, and part of 2022 is our gala, and we're super excited. Our CDO Shannon is working really hard on it. So if anybody's interested, please let us know.
Lisa, before you move on, Lauren
sir.
Joseph, you skipped over Lauren Joseph, who wanted to introduce herself.
Oh,
Yes.
Lauren, please do. Go ahead and unmute yourself.
Hello, everyone. Hi. I'm nice to meet you guys. So I guess I will. I am an academic writing, research, and editing coach, and who helps high school students, college and grad students, and professionals with their writing and research projects. And I'm just starting out, so I'm still working on my little elevator pitch. And just basically I'm helping people with struggling with writing papers, research papers, or application essays like grant applications. And I will say that from last week, from meeting someone here in this room a week ago, I started working with him on preparing his National Science Foundation grant, and we're working on that, and it's going really well. So I want to thank you guys for, yeah, it's William. So I want to thank you guys for giving me that chance, and for giving me a space to get this project going. The name of the company is LJ Academics, and yeah, thank you. I guess that's it.
And one last event, part of 1 Million Cups business is that, especially since we've got some new folks in the crowd, both here and online, is that toward the end of the year, we like to kind of recap, not necessarily recap the year, but we like to prepare for the new year. So it's become an annual tradition that we have an event that kind of looks at, how do we help prepare? So let's see, we've got a couple of volunteers from the crew. We've got Paul, we've got Miriam, we've got Adam. I don't know. You don't necessarily, oh, you're gonna make a pitch? I am. Make a pitch. Okay, well, I'm doing a terrible job on a pitch, but basically on the 22nd, 2 weeks from now, we're doing a special event where you can come learn a little bit about habits and a few other things. To talk about at least one of those other things, I will hand it off to Paul.
I'm going to do a workshop on elevator pitches. I'm Paul Sauter, founder and chief scientific officer of Equiseek. We develop and sell genetic tests for horses. Here's my elevator pitch. For horse owners seeking to breed sound horses, Equiseek's myopathy panel is a DNA test that identifies horses at risk for a muscle wasting disease before they develop symptoms. And unlike muscle biopsy, Equiseek's DNA test is non-invasive. We just need a hair sample. If you want to learn how to do that,
come on December 22nd and take the elevator pitch workshop. Thanks.
Excellent. Well, we've got a huge crowd here this morning, both here and online. Just want to thank you all for coming out, and I will hand it back. So thanks so much.
Thanks, Derek. Awesome. Well, this was a great event. I'm going to stop our live stream, stop our recording. We can go back to seeing Naughty World.